Hello, the Bloodlust is live. Yes, happy Tuesday. We are here playing some Trackmania. Trackmania Tuesday as it is. Yes, we are going to hop into week 60. Holy cow. Been out for a bit over a year now. This officially marks a year for me of Trackmania Tuesday reviews. Doing the weekly shorts. We will be checking out the new weekly tracks, of course, starting with our review of last week's. Give me a second here. I'm not very centered in my camera. Anyway, getting into week 60, of course, doing the reviews first. We will be checking out week 59, and then we will be running our discovery of week 60. And then shortly after that, I was thinking about checking out some of the campaign, and viewers are welcome to join, of course. So if you want to hop into a live match, feel free to join my club. We will be playing with the viewers. Get rid of our phasmophobia eyeballs counter. We had a rough week last week. Friday was definitely a challenge. Identity and the ghost pretty much immediately hunts. It was a rough one. If you're interested in phasmophobia, definitely feel free to come back on Friday, check out some of my previous VODs, or hit that follow, like, and or subscribe down below. Come back for the next one. So we're gonna hop into it here. Of course, we got the weekly tracks up. They have some new stuff, some weekly grand tracks. I was looking at that, and I'm a little annoyed to find out that Xbox or console, I'm assuming probably console in general, only starts at week 5. So we just don't get to see the first 4 weeks, which is definitely kind of annoying. Really hate when they kind of do stuff like that, but it is what it is. In any case, we're going to start out with the weekly shorts. Here is week 59, starting with White Line. If you're watching over on YouTube and you would like to see the full screen, definitely hop on over to Twitch. Link is down in the description. We are live there 3 or 4 days a week. Sometimes we'll do some Twitch exclusive stuff just because my streams run smoother on when I'm solo streaming rather than streaming to multiple platforms. Just a natural thing to do with bandwidth. That, and I have to do the dual output. My computer doesn't love dual output. Need a better computer, to be honest. But in any case, we're gonna hop into the reviews, starting with track 291, White Line, number 1 of week 59. And do a couple of quick runs on that. I apologize for the screen flashing there. Happens kind of often. I don't know why it does that, but this first track was kind of interesting. Honestly, I felt a little disappointed. Most of these tracks are really super simple. And speaking of White Line, there is a white line on the edge of the screen. I don't know why that's a thing now. It only kind of started doing that since they did this most recent update, which I don't love. It definitely messes with the visuals a little bit. Here we are with a pretty good run there. 0.068, 600s, almost 700s behind my personal best on that one. I did actually put a few runs into this one, tried to get as good of a score as I possibly could. But again, they are very simple tracks from this week. Nice, easy, 2-turn kind of deal. Want to get a good low landing on this first platform here, hit that booster, try to stay as close to the wall as you can without bumping it, of course. Nice low landing there. Conserve as much speed as possible. Nice tight turn here. Whoa. Snap yourself into a speed slide. Drift around that first turn. Keep as much of your speed as you possibly can here, and without hitting that white line. Keep hitting it a little early. I want to get as close as I possibly can to that without bumping into it. Nice low landing there. A little too wide there. It's kind of difficult to get a nice speed slide without going too wide around that turn, so you want to start out pretty wide here. Don't want to go too wide there, otherwise of course you'll end up way behind. You want to try to stay to the inside of that pillar there. Nice low landing, got a little bit of speed on our PB. Now I'm going too wide. Just doing a couple of runs on it. Let you see the track. Do my own run. See if I can't possibly beat my own PB here. Oh, lost it. Oh, but we maintained more speed there. Oh crap! Look at that. That was actually huge improvement. Last week when we did these tracks, since the update was brand new, of course, they had a few hiccups with the server, probably a lot of people online slowing it down, so it didn't update the leaderboards, and it actually showed that I was number 1 in Oregon on a couple of tracks, even in the top 100 in North America on 1 or 2. So we're gonna go ahead and check out the records here. We got, starting from number 5, we got Flechettas, Enoblade, Ricard, Dreams, and Ingler. We're gonna start with Flechettas, Enoblade, and Ricard. From Flechettas' perspective, nice close to that wall. Get a super low landing there. Nice tight line here, no speed slide, full grip all the way around, really close to that checkpoint, super low landing there. Lost a little bit of speed, Flechettas, for bonking their front tire off the ground, but regardless, good run. We see Ricard and Enoblade with the RC car, which I love that skin. I want to know where they got it. I kind of feel like downloading it just because it looks so hilarious. I see it so often. So many people are running with it. That was a nice, clean run there. Super simple. Full grip all the way around. Barely missing all 3 of those corners there. And nice in the line there. You see Enoblade and Ricard are actually really close. Only 6 thousandths separating each one of these guys between Flechettas and Enoblade and Ricard. Again, nice clean run, super fast track. And my game crashes. I haven't had that happen in a while. Tried to actually remove somebody from the view there. That doesn't happen very often. It usually only happens when you try to view certain records. I kind of was under the impression that when that happens, sometimes it might be due to some shenanigans with their replays, but never really know. Going back into it here. Week 59. Back to track 1. Everything seems to be loading nice and quick this week, so looks like they got the servers smoothed out. We're gonna drive alone again and go look at the records here. So that was Flechettas, Enoblade, and Ricard. Let's go from Ricard and Dreams perspective. Start the run here at Ricard's view. Dreams and Ricard look like they're super even. Dreams goes up to the inside there. Really far ahead again of Ricard. Super close on every turn there. Looks like Dreams going to the inside actually made the difference. Let's just go from Dreams' perspective. Solamente. See my PB here. Pretty much even up until they get to the booster there. Dreams doing a little bit of a nose down bump off of the uphill there. It's the inside, barely missing that checkpoint and landing really sideways, but managing to keep all of their grip through that section. Ton of speed there. Lots of grip through that whole section. Barely missing every one of those lines. And yeah, man, that landing so sideways like that, if you land too sideways, the game will actually register a collision on the side of your tire. So that was really close. Barely made it through there without colliding, but beautiful run. Well done by Dreams. Let's check out Ingler here, number one with an 18.08. Ingler goes to the outside and comes back into the inside. A little bit of a tighter turn there. Makes it just ahead of Dreams and super smooth around that corner. Full grip, no sliding. Beautiful run. Ingler with an 18.08. We'll just look at Ingler here. Solamente. Ingler with a nice low landing there. Basically the same as Dreams, but on the outside, rather. Full grip all the way around there, barely missing the arch. Again, landing at a bit of an angle, but manages to catch full grip before the final turn there, getting him just that little bit ahead. Well done to Ingler. Not really a lot to say about this track, just super smooth, very clean run. Honestly, as I said, I was a little bit kind of disappointed by these tracks this week. They were mainly just trying to show off their new, well, I say new style here. These are actually, it's kind of funny, it took them like 6 years or something to basically re-release old content. Of course, they upgraded the graphics a little bit, but some of the veteran Trackmania players will recognize these world blocks. This is from the older style, from Canyon, Lagoon, and a couple others. Can't remember them all, but I didn't actually play any of those. I am very much a noob to Trackmania, but again, you can see here these world blocks are from some of the older games, which, you know, to some degree kind of is a little refreshing. It's nice to have some new content for Trackmania 2020. And for me, somebody who never played any of the older games, it's fun to look at. A little bit more realistic looking than some of the world blocks that they had for the base game. But there again, as somebody said in a comment on a YouTube video I was looking at the other day, it said if I wanted realistic graphics, I'd just go outside. Kind of agree with that, to be honest. So that was White Line. Once again, well done to Flechetas, Enoblade, Ricard, Dreams, and Ingler. Moving on to track number 2. This is Snow Realist. Do a run on this one. This one was a little tough for me, going from the inside here. You gotta drift around these last 2 turns without losing your line. I'm not great at drifting in this game, and with these sharp downhills, you got to make sure to hit them just right so you keep your grip. Otherwise, again, that will slow you down. Had to release a lot there, which is honestly and I bonk in that wall every time. That's
I had a really hard time not bonking that wall, but I managed to hold top 35. This was actually one of them that I was, I think, number 2 or 3 in Oregon last week when the leaderboards did finally load. So managed to keep number 35. I'm pretty happy with. It was a tough line. That last turn into the finish is very tight, and it requires you to get really close to that last wall, which I always, get a little scared. Don't want to get too close to the wall. Bonk it, of course. Nice tight line there into the finish. But we're gonna check out the records, of course. Again, we got, starting at number 5, we got Golden Nugget, The Park, Arturek, TM, Inglare, again in number 2, and Crippy, or Cripple, probably Crippy. It's all in caps, so I'm assuming that's an I. So we're gonna go with Golden Nugget, The Park, and Arturek. Starting from Golden Nugget's perspective, tight inside that line there, keeping grip down the hill, managing to make it through there without any airtime, landing in the downhill section. Beautiful drift, barely missing that outside wall. Super tight into the finish there. That's the line that I was looking for, but it's just really sketchy trying to make such a tight drift there. Keeping to the outside, drifting really close to the inside corner there, barely missing the outside wall through that checkpoint, and just, oh my gosh, riding the wall there. Holy cow. Super tight line. Landing in that downhill section, gaining a little bit more speed, and just barely missing that outside wall is just incredible. Golden Nugget a little behind. The Park and Arturek managed to gain a little bit more speed through this checkpoint, or a little bit more distance rather, not really more speed, and pretty much just hold it all the way through to the finish, evenly into the end there. The Park manages to get in ahead because they got a little bit closer to the inside of the finish line. Beautiful run. Nice clean drift all the way through there. Once again, oh my gosh, that corner is so close. Honestly, that's a scary turn. But they managed to make quite the nice line through that whole section. You can just barely see my PB popping into the end there, and I'm gone. There's no coming back on that. That last checkpoint, I released the gas a little bit and lost a lot of my speed. I did actually one time manage to make it through that checkpoint with pretty much the same line they had here, barely missing that outside wall. But then I bonked the freaking corner as I was trying to go around, and I just gave up. I was tired of it. I had already been grinding on this track for like half an hour at that point, and I had other things to do. Once again, game crashing on me. That's unfortunate. That's not something that happens very often, to be honest. Those with keen eye may see my recent played list. There's some hilarious stuff in there. I did try High Guard. Wasn't really as bad as a lot of people made it out to be, which, there's always going to be some naysayers, but wasn't really that great either. Really rough graphics. Even on Xbox Series X, they had some like really grainy looking just background, and the shopkeeper guy he honestly almost looked like 16 or 32-bit or something. It was rough. Did not love it. Played a bunch of games, tried really hard to get into it. I only got like 7 wins out of like 20 games, because it seems like they pretty much exclusively match you up against people on a team. I was running solo the whole time. Nobody else wanted to play it with me. And I kept getting just the worst freaking teammates. Oh my God, the worst. I only had like 1 or 2 people leave the game, which a lot of people were saying that, you know, they had a lot of people leaving, weren't really even sticking around for a match. And so that really kind of screws it, especially when it's a 3v3, you get stuck with only 2 people playing. That's pretty much game over. So we're gonna go from R2X perspective here with Ingler. Ingler going a little bit wider through that section, but a straighter line across the engine off. Nice downhill section here, catching that, going around a little bit smoother of a turn and catching a ton of speed there just at the end. It actually looked like R2X was ahead, but Ingler looks like they did a tiny bit of a snap just before the finish and picked up a bit more speed. R2X, Ingler's actually behind at this point, but a little bit tighter in against that wall and getting just that little boost of speed there before the finish line, managing to get themselves in second place, 200ths ahead. Really close again with the records. Everybody is at a 17-9 in the top 5. 17-9-7-4 for Gold Nugget, 17-9-7-3 for the Park, only 1,000 separating them, and 17-9-63 for Arturek, and 17-9-47 for Ingler. Really close records this week. So we're gonna go with Crippy and Ingler. From Ingler's perspective, Ingler and Crippy almost perfectly even, but Crippy going a little bit wider there and getting a straighter line through that checkpoint, catching that downhill. They're basically even going into the second checkpoint here. Crippy getting a little bit more speed through that drift and just slightly more to the inside of the finish line for the world record. Again, 17-9-34. Excellent run. Crippy getting a little bit more speed through the second checkpoint and just a slightly smoother line, or tighter line rather, into the finish there. Looks like they pretty much crossed the finish line at like exactly the same moment, but Crippy just a tires width ahead. Well done. Beautiful run to everybody there. Once again, these tracks are super simple. Not really a lot to look at. No crazy stunts, nothing too insane. I am pretty proud of myself that I managed to keep number 35 in Oregon, because I didn't really come back and grind on that one too much. We got Lagoon Splitway. This is the Pathfinder track. Now there's a lot of different fun paths on this one, and the way that it starts is kind of interesting with this full speed backflip there. There's a path here to the right. I did manage to make it into the finish line on the side there a couple of times. That backflip really is interesting. You can bug slide around that. Ooh, that was actually nice and smooth. Get a lot of speed there and bonk into that wall like a dummy. But you can still make it. Oh, and I flew over it. Wow. Can't make it into that finish line. I did finally manage to make it there with a fair amount of speed, but I was like 4 seconds behind my personal record. I didn't try too many of the paths here because it seems pretty apparent that there is not, like, if you go to any of the other side paths, that you're not gonna get a good time just due to the distance between one point to the next. Oof, and that's one issue there. We're going downhill, you're just barely keeping contact with the ground. Oh, that was really bad backflip there. Try to get a nice landing here. Ooh, a little too far. I want to try to catch that downhill some. There we go. Gives me a little bit more speed there. And bonking that pillar, but with the rally car, bonking pillars actually doesn't suck too bad. It kind of just slides off of things. Ooh, that was rough one right there. It's interesting hitting that backflip right there. Sometimes you kind of land at a weird angle, even if you're going basically perfectly straight across it. And through this one up into the finish there. You got to have a fair amount of speed to catch that booster into the finish line. There we go. Nice straight, smooth landing, catching the downhill there. Again, smooth there, going around that pillar just barely. I tried to turn the tiniest bit, but again, if you turn on that downhill section with the rally car, it likes to tilt up on its on the side, and then you lose a ton of speed. Catching that downhill, there we go. Catching this downhill, missing the pillar there. And nice. Tight line there. Barely make it. Getting thrown off the side, that's hilarious, but that's fine. Just wanted to give you a quick look at it. We'll try a different path here, but you'll probably see what I mean. Like, you're not really gonna get the speed if you go to like this path here. You gotta kind of make a weird wiggle, and then there's a finish line there that seems like it might be closer, but you gotta be really careful about how much you tilt the car around that corner. Really hard to make that gap right there. Right there. You could actually drop down there as a finish line there. I'm assuming that's probably going to be the world record path. I didn't see that until just now, to be honest. As I said, I didn't really try any of the side paths just because that's a tough line right there. But you drop down here into the finish. Got to hit that angle just right. Nice landing there. I actually went across the booster a little crooked, but go there, and then down below. You gotta hit that just right to get below there. Probably have to release a little bit so you don't hit that far edge. We're gonna try that. Release a little bit. Nope. Yeah, that's a tough one. You gotta hit that just right. Might be able to, you go straight through here. Oh, you can't because there's this bump there, so you do have to drop down through that one section, which it definitely is possible, but you got to hit it just right. Keeping our speed there. Boom. Half a second, actually. Yeah, that's probably the route. Saved a lot of time on that one. So we're gonna go ahead and check out the records here. I can't, wow. They're freaking 7 seconds ahead of me. That's crazy. We're probably gonna see some wild stuff here. They actually, I'm gonna guess they probably jump off of the side to the right after that first checkpoint. When they do the backflip, they probably just go off the side immediately, which I tried that, but again, that's a really tough line. You gotta go wide to the left and then come back to the right, and you don't have like any time to set up for that. So we're gonna see. We got Lavsor, Penna 1G, Nals, Bilford, and Oni Chaniawa. Yes, Chaniawa. Yep. So we're gonna go Lavsor's perspective here with Penna 1G and Nallis, and they go, wow, nose bug into a bounce off of this rock and flying into the finish right there. You know, in a weird way, I kind of saw this line, but I never would have seen the nose bug as a thing. What a crazy line. Wow. See Penna 1G and Nallis landing on their roof, but in a weird way, sliding through that actually saves them time because you have a little bit more friction on your wheels. Nala's just freaking flying straight into it. Doesn't even touch the ground. Penna 1G and Lavsor both hit the grass before the end there, so that slows them down quite a bit. Nala's just flying straight into the finish, not even touching the ground. Incredible. Let's go from, god dang it. Does this every time. That's a problem. I've had more crashes today than I have any other time. Maybe not any other time. I've had the game crash a few times trying to look at some records, but never taking a record off of my my review. So not sure what's going on there. They definitely got a few issues that have popped up since the big update, which I suppose is kind of inherent. It happens with pretty much any game. So we're gonna go back here to track number 3, Lagoon Splitway. Of course, the name is in the title of the track there. These world blocks are from Trackmania Lagoon. Drive alone here again, looking at the records, and we're just going to do Penna 1G and Nala's from Nala's perspective. To the left, bug slide to the right, bouncing off of that little rock and getting a boost off of the tree into the finish there. Just what a wild line. That's gotta be the first time I've seen a bug slide or a nose bug in a world record successfully done on this game. Of course, there's nose bugs that people do with like task runs on the older games, Stadium and such, but that's just crazy. That is crazy to me. I never ever would have seen that line. Again, this is one of those things where the people are sharing their runs. There is a website where you can pretty much look at any ghost as long as you're on PC. Nose bug though, I'm mind blown. That right path actually was the path, surprisingly. So we got Bilford and Onichinawa. Both again getting the bug slide, and Onichinawa. Oh, yeah, Onichinawa. Chanau. Oni getting a big line straight up into the finish there. Bilford, the nice bump off of the rock, flying pretty much straight into the finish. Getting straightened out by one of the palm trees there. Let's check out Onichinawa. Big bump, straight up the hill, through the trees, and flipping backwards into the finish. The only person to break the 8-second barrier, getting a 7.997. Absolutely incredible. That's gotta be one of the wildest records that we've seen so far. That was Lavsor with an 8.929, Penna 1G with an 8.548, Niles with an 8.309, Bilford with an 8.222, and Onichinawa with a 7.997, breaking that 8-second barrier. Well done. Congratulations to everybody in the top 5 there. That's just pure insanity to me. That's, again, probably one of the most exciting records that we've seen in a while. I don't think I've ever seen a nose bug done in this game. This is Red Rock Rookie. I actually enjoyed the crap out of this track. Gotta do a little bit of drifties through this first turn here. Keep as much of our speed as possible. I had to release, but drifting around that one. And I released again. Probably shouldn't have released. I had the speed, but nice speed into the finish. Very simple track. Just a few turns. Number 34. It was number 35 on the last one. Number 34 on this. Well, not the last one, but the one previous. And I think these are both tracks that I was number 1 on in Oregon before everything smoothed out with the servers. Nice, easy track. We're gonna go ahead and check out the records. We got Adjust EKZ, Hollis, Ender 22 WMR, The Park, and Shabala TM. Starting from Adjust perspective here with a 19.568. We actually have a tie between Hollis and Ender 22 WMR. Nice smooth line there. Speed slide through that whole section. Beautiful drift through here, but Adjust loses a little bit of speed there. And Ender and Hollis managed to make that line just a little bit smoother into the finish. Adjust bringing it back, but just barely ending behind them. 7 thousandths separating them, almost a three-way tie. Ender and Hollis going across the finish line at exactly the same time, and it looks like their cars basically merged there just as they hit the finish line. Beautifully well done. So we're gonna go Ender's perspective here with the Park ahead of him. The Park going a little bit tighter against the wall, and nice smooth line there, pretty much even going into the second checkpoint. The Park getting a little bit more of an inside line, really close to that wall, and getting a beautiful line into the finish, super close to the wall. Ender a little bit more towards the center of the track. The Park, though, is really close to the inside, which puts them on a closer line, and they actually did a little bit of a tilt there to get their tire in ahead. Beautiful run, perfect speed slide through that whole section. Nice line there. Speed slide all the way around. The Park just gets a little bit more to the inside. Gets slightly ahead. Let's go with the Park and Shabala TM. We'll go with Shabala's perspective. The Park behind. Looks like they're even going across the first pad there, but Shabala gets a tiny bit more speed and really, really close to that wiggle there. Super tight to the outside, staying as straight as they possibly can. Try not to slide out as much as possible and making it into the finish line. 4 thousandths ahead of the Park. This is a really close set of records on this one. Top 5 all within 2/100ths of a second. Beautiful speed slide, snapping into a Neo slide just before the finish there. Or is that a Quantum slide? I think that was a Neo slide. Just before the finish. Beautiful line. Shabala a bit ahead through that turn, but losing speed. You can actually see just barely that the Park had about 5 more speed than Shabala going into the finish line, but Shabala was just ahead enough through that last turn right here, so far ahead right there, and they had just enough ahead that they managed to keep it into the finish for the record at a 19.542. The Park with a 19.546. Really, really close runs. Beautiful line. Only just a second ahead of me even, which I feel pretty good about. That was a Red Rock Rookie, track number 4 of week 59. Moving on to the last track. Now, I really liked this track. This was actually a lot of fun. This is Gonog. Track 5 got top 53 in Oregon. This one was really tough though. The author medal was honestly cooked. Author medal was crazy on this track, but you want to try to get as straight through that section as you can so you can miss that turn and keep your, or miss that wall and keep your speed. Snap into a straight line here. Nice and tight. Want to be to the outside there so we can keep our speed through this section. And you want to go inside to the finish there. That last section, that dog leg just before the finish line, is really tough. That if you don't have the right line set while you're on the dirt, basically halfway through this turn before you get there, you're gonna smash into that corner and miss the finish entirely. You see, I had to slow down and readjust just before the finish there. This is a very tough track, but I did enjoy it. Basically anything with dirt, I have a lot of fun with, and this one was definitely right up my alley. You want to try to stay to the outside of that as much as possible, gain more speed around the outside edge. Nice, quick and easy. Again, super simple. All of the tracks this week are super simple. They're just trying to show off the canyon world blocks. Basically, they got each track with a different set of world blocks to show off the new styles that they reintroduced. And I will say, you know, it may be an old style that they had in previous games, but with the fresh graphics, it actually looks really good. I do appreciate the way that it looks in this game, and you know, it adds some extra style, something new to try, more variety to play with. So we're gonna go ahead and check out the records here. We got Crispy, Gabri TM, Captain Backchance, Sweet Jazz, and Bobo 247. We're gonna start from Crispy's perspective here. Going wide through this section, going straight through the checkpoint there, nice and tight through the sand, snapping into a straight line on the outside edge, landing super wide to the outside there, and nice easy line. Crispy is a little bit ahead through the first turn, but Backchance and Gabri gain a lot more speed through this section, so we're gonna go ahead and check out what's going on with them from Gabri's perspective here. Gabri and Captain Backchance going all the way to the outside, keeping full grip all the way through there, which is super tough, going really close to that wall so they can get as much outside as they can in that final turn, and a nice straight line into the finish. They had this figured out. Really close to each one of these sections, going as straight as possible through each part as they can, and barely making it into the finish there. They actually managed to clip that wall a little bit and still got into the finish with a good time. Captain Backchance, though, gaining more speed through this section and just maintaining it all the way through into the finish, as much to the outside as possible and straight into the finish line there. Very tough with that last angle there. Please. Let's go with Sweet Jazz and Captain Backchance here. Sweet Jazz and Backchance again going to the outside. Sweet Jazz much smoother through that section though. Beautiful, barely missing that corner, staying all the way to the outside and straight into the finish. Looks like they might not have even clipped that corner. Everybody else up to this point clipped that corner just before the finish line. And Sweet Jazz ahead by 0.25, which is kind of huge, actually, when you're looking at world records. But we got Bobo 247 here. Bobo 247 a little bit behind in that first turn, but nice and smooth through that bump section, taking all of their speed into the outside and straight into the finish line. Did not hit the corner at all. Beautiful run. Bobo showing how it's done. Full grip along the outside edge there. Once again, going to the outside here and keeping a lot of their grip and managing to make it straight into the finish. They had the perfect angle there for the world record, 16.5.22. Well done. Beautiful run. Absolutely beautiful run. Straight in there, missing the corner entirely. That last turn, as I said, that last section right there, this dog leg right here just before the finish line. On dirt, it's really hard to re-angle yourself. And he managed to get the perfect line and just missed that corner entirely. You can see I was more to the inside there on my PB. Dang it. That gnat, man. It's out to get me. Once again, beautiful run by Crispy, Gabri TM, Captain Backchance, Sweet Jazz, and Bobo 247. Little over, almost actually, just short of a half a second split between the top 5, which is kind of a lot, especially for the tracks this week. These are really short tracks, not a lot of nuance to them, so that is quite the spread. A 0.5 spread in the top 5 world records is definitely a lot. Managed to get myself number 53 in Oregon. Feel good about that. 224, 35, 209, 34, and 53. World record wise, not great. Probably actually my lowest so far, but club wise, I did pretty good. Got 32211. Only had, looks like DCD only decided to try the first couple of tracks there. Didn't do the whole week, but I was quite a bit ahead of 576 on all but the first track. 576 on this third track actually did have a much better run than me. They probably got that drop down finish for a 15.869. 2 seconds ahead on Red Rock and almost 2 seconds ahead on Gonog. That was week 59. World record holder by points is Ingler. Saw them on 2 tracks here, the first and the second track. They were nowhere to be seen on the last 3, but they must have had probably somewhere inside the top 10, I'm assuming, getting them the points record. Bobo 247, Crippy, Oni Choniawu, whatever, and Shambhala TM. Ingler taking it for 65,000 points. It's a good score. All right, let's jump into week 60. So we got Little Canyon by Goat Milk. First track. And we're going to start out with the Canyon car or Desert car, which I am definitely not a fan of. This is my least favorite car in the entire game. I hate this thing so much. The tilts, man. The way that this thing tilts is just egregious. It is not fun to drive, in my opinion. We want to get a wide turn through there so we can catch that booster. Looks like looks like a reactor up, which is going to allow us to kind of float across the water like a pod racer here. Gotta get a nice angle through that. So keep our grip through that section. Try to keep as much grip as possible through there. Wow, what a bounce. Whatever, we go with it. I just want to get through this track. Oh, we need to go left. I read the sign wrong. Keeping as much grip as we can through there. And we want to try to stick to the road before we get to that last section before the reactor. That's easier said than done. Keeping our grip there. Keeping our grip across this little hump there. Nice flat landing. And, ooh, look at that. Okay, there we go. Reactor up. Nice wide turn there. And straight into the finish as much as possible. Hopefully that's going to get us the author medal. First finish. Nicely done. Love to see that. Number 69. Love it. See if we can't get ourselves into the top 50 in Oregon here. That's my typical goal, is top 50 in Oregon. Sometimes I will play off stream and get a better score, but for now on stream I usually try to get top 50 in Oregon if I can. It seems like a nice round number to start with. There could be, honestly, a trick to this track. Oof. Because there is only one checkpoint. There's this first checkpoint, and then you get a reactor. Reactors spell trouble. There's almost always some craziness going on with reactors. So actually, let's do one more normal run here, and then see if we can't find some shenanigans. Nice smooth turn. Nope, not smooth at all, but that actually... hitting that rock right there may actually be a good thing. Flip myself over and fly into the finish or something. Oh, that was interesting. Went for a little dip there. I don't even know what's going on. Can't see anything. Maybe if I went into first person, but that'd be a rough camera for sure. Not going well so far. It's honestly just the desert car, man. I do not enjoy the desert car. Just the way that it tilts and slides so much. Like, there is no car in reality that freaking moves like this. Yeah, you might be able to actually just skip that corner entirely. Go straight into the finish on that, but... oop. Again, you want to try not to land sideways, because this thing likes to freaking tilt like crazy. Nice smooth turn there. There we go. That's the action I've been looking for. And close into the finish for 0.3 improvement. Huge. That puts us at number 47 in Oregon. We like that. That is inside the top 50, but let's see if we can't make one more little improvement here. Try to go as smoothly as we can through each section. Dang it. That's not gonna do it. Keeping our speed here. Oof. Sliding out just the tiniest bit before that reactor. Once again, the fact that there's only one checkpoint here, this checkpoint, and then you go into a reactor, really makes me think that there is likely a huge skip that could be made. You might be able to just like jump over the wall and straight into the finish or something like that, but this thing rocks so much, and not in a good way. Keeping our grip through that section. Smooth turn here. Much speed as possible. Nope. There is that one section just to the inside of that final reactor. Might be able to skip past it just a little bit. had a lot of speed there. It's hard to tell, but you can actually get a little bit of a speed slide on water when you have a reactor like that. It's a very odd thing indeed, but it is something that can be done. If you get the right angle, if you don't turn too tight, then you can keep full grip or even catch a speed slide. The only thing is you can't see the line like you can while you're on the ground, because of course while you're on the ground you can see your tire tracks, and that gives you an indication of how separated your front wheels are from your back, or your back wheels are from your front wheels, I should say. Oh man, slid just the tiniest bit, lost all of my speed right there. Looks like you might not be able to cut to the inside. I was dreaming. And all of our grip there, all of our grip there, trying not to rock through that section, but it's tough. This thing is like a bucking bronco. Nearly impossible to keep all four tires on the ground with this thing. Like even the SS that it's freaking clearly modeled after does not move like that. Yes, it is a little top heavy and it will kind of rock a little bit, and you could possibly flip it if you turn too tightly while you're, you know, going at high speeds, but it does not move like this. However, there is a reason that it is more of a drag car. You don't really see people street racing with it too much, but you'll see it a lot on the drag strip. Ooh, nice. Smooth line there, smooth line there, and god dang it. Oof. All the airtime that time. Smooth downhill, smooth section there. Nice smooth turn. Let's go. Oh my gosh. I had so much speed right there. Had a beautiful line going into that. Let's see if we can't do that again. Most of our grip there. Nice. Yeah, sort of smooth into that. Go tighter around that. Hello, what up, Super Mad? I apologize, I missed your message. How's it going, man? Thanks for popping in. We're just doing our discovery runs here. Smooth turn there. We need to get really tight through that, the finish line there, if we possibly can. We want to get as close as possible, just on the other side of that first upright. Smooth turn, let's go. Tight around that, and yeah, we'll take it. It's a little bit of an improvement in one or two places. Handful of places in Oregon there. Pretty good week, yep. 103rd overall, dang. Yeah, I would be happy with that for sure. Yeah, so far, not loving this first track, just in general, because it starts with the desert car. I am probably the desert car's biggest hater. Yeah, that's more like the line that I'm looking for, but I need a good run up to it. Yep, okay. Nope. Well, again, we made a little bit of an improvement. If I had gotten more to the inside, that actually would have been good. Number 35 in Oregon right now is not too bad. 1409. God dang, bro. Freaking second and a half almost ahead of me. Crazy. I was Little Canyon. Here we are on to Cleoles. Interesting. This one has the appearance of a Pathfinder track. Oh, we gotta drift through that or just stay really close to the inside there. Yeah, go through the upright. Or the triangle, as some people like to call it. Whoa! This is gonna be tough with the little bits of road sticking up above the water there. This is kind of actually an interesting track, though. I like the style for sure. Oh, nope. Definitely need to go through the triangle. Want to get straight through that checkpoint, if possible. Keep our contact here and stay to the inside. I had to slow down a lot, but we'll get faster. An interesting track. We get author medal. We like that. That's fine. That's fine. Probably could go through the triangle on the first checkpoint too. 110. Holy cow. Got a lot of work to do on this one. Barely touched the water there. It actually slowed me down a bit. Yeah, we don't want to touch the water. Touching the water is bad. Okay. Go through the triangle. A little bit of a break just to angle ourselves nicely through that. Keeping our speed as much as possible through this section. Airtime's not great, but that was a half a second improvement. We like that, for sure. This is interesting one, but you like this one less. Yeah, I kind of like the look of it, like just the idea of the road sticking out above the water. It's kind of cool. Like you're driving along the sandbar, kind of almost. Even though it's tech. Oh. Yeah, some of these turns are gonna be tough, that's for sure. Keeping most of our speed there through that section. Oh, crap. Dang. And we might be able to get a water bounce across that to the final checkpoint, but that would be risky. And it'd be really hard to re-angle ourselves to the finish once we get there, so. It seems like they got this set up so you pretty much go through the triangle on every one of these checkpoints. Oof. Oh man. Struggling. Trying to go too fast now. Not really too fast, but taking more risks. Damn it. That turn sucks. The rest of it's not bad, but that turn right there kind of sucks. There to the inside. Oh, so much airtime. Dang it. That was actually huge improvement, but yeah. need a tighter angle through that. So it basically is set up to go through the triangle on every checkpoint, probably except for the last one. Maybe even the last one, we'll see. Ah. Bumping into stuff. Nope. Released. Shouldn't have released. Airtime. That first turn right there is tough. Okay, well that's a little bit of an improvement. Sag, yeah. I'm definitely struggling with that. This first turn right here. Yeah, I don't hate it. I really actually kind of like this style. Maybe one of the first times where the sausage roads aren't terrible in my opinion. Dang. I had such a good line going into that. Once again, released a little bit. Ah. Airtime. That's probably going to be the toughest thing, is staying in contact with the road here. Ah. Without getting any airtime. Gotta have just the right angle through every section. Ah, released. Dang it. And this is not a very forgiving road. Touch the water just a little bit there. Oh man. Tough. There we go. Nope. I released again, but still an improvement. 18,740. 42 in Oregon. We can do better. Nope. Tried to drift, but I wasn't going quite fast enough. There we go. Oh, nice. Oh, I released, but boom! 0.6. That's a huge improvement. Number 20 in Oregon, top 1,000 in the US. I like that. And we might be able to get one more improvement, but that was that was probably about as good as I'm gonna get, I think, as far as contact and everything's concerned. I did release a little bit after the final checkpoint there, so we can improve just a little bit on that section at least. There we go, it's a good line. Dang. That bump caused me to straighten out just a tiny bit. Yeah, this first turn's a tough one. Whoa. Oh man. I'm just getting tossed all over the place here. Thank you, thank you. Felt like a nice one. Probably nothing compared to your, like, what, like 17-4. You're sitting in the top 100 right now. Oh. Playing with fire. Oh yeah, let's go. That felt great, actually. Let's go. Top 10 in Oregon. Really like that. I had a lot of airtime there. 1687. That's, yeah, I would have to really freaking lock it in for a time like that, but I'm actually kind of surprised I managed to make such an improvement right there even. Number 8 in Oregon. We like that, but we'll probably put a little bit more work into this one later on. That was pretty rough. If I could keep more contact around the third checkpoint. Nice line there. Really nice line there. And a little bit of airtime. Try to get rid of that and that right there. If I can keep my contact around that section, I'd probably be able to lock it in like at least top 5 in Oregon, maybe even, you know, top couple hundred in the US. But yeah, this track actually isn't too bad. I like this style. This is probably like the only time in history where sausage roads don't piss me off. I had a think that is a good idea. Oh yeah, the water bounce. Yeah, the water, I might be able to, that, if you could water bounce across that last section through the triangle, that actually might be able to cut a fair amount. Right here, bump, water bounce, and then just shoot over into the freaking finish, or that checkpoint there, and basically straight into the finish. Actually, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Too early on that. Let's see. Try that again here. So we go through here and then water bounce across that. Oh, dang. Need to land flat. We can, or maybe even just water bounce to the straight. Water bounce onto the road. Like that. Dang, almost. Actually, the double water bounce, that might be the ticket there. We can freaking get that water bounce. And with a release, you can keep your grip for the right turn. Okay. Just a little bit of a release before the final checkpoint there. All right. Oh. Ooh, get flipped over. Well, that was kind of cool. Yeah, that water bounce. That honestly, like I saw that immediately. It just seemed so right, you know? Because that last turn, or that one section, like anytime where you like go out of line, you know, where you have to go out of line and come back, like if there's a way to skip that line where you don't have to go around it, and water definitely makes that a lot more possible in many ways. But we go water bounce here, and dang it, try not to get flipped over. That's gonna be the biggest problem, is hitting that like straight enough so that we don't get flipped over. Alright, well, we know what we're looking at least. We can come back to that one maybe a little bit later. Let's check out what's up with track 3. That one's fun. I like that. Aim for the left of the green. Oh, okay. go to the outside and then ride the ridge up and over. That would actually be really smooth. Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Appreciate you. Lagoon fishing. We're just gonna pick a line here and take it. Ah, that sucks. Oh, there's a roulette booster there. Alright, so we go more to the outside here. Is there no checkpoints? Wait, is there really no checkpoints? Oh man, there's a finish right there. Okay, well we're just gonna play with it here for a second. Man, that finish right there though. How would we get up there? Maybe bonk off of that tree or something? Okay. Okay. I've got some thoughts that I'm thinking right now, definitely. Hit the booster. Ah. Try to go to the inside of that pole. Oof. How did I hit the wall? What? Just barely clipped that corner. Didn't even hit the corner itself. I hit the geometry. It was ridiculous. All right, well, that one's annoying right now. Let's try this one. Oh, snow car. Great. Okay, well, we're definitely not going that way. Ah. I'm too wide there. Top 28? Dang, dude. Oof. Does that finish to the right have anything to do with it? Because I swear, that seems like such an obvious freaking exploit. When there's 0 checkpoints on a track, there's always some crazy shenanigans going on, you know. There we go. Oh, I released a little bit. Ooh, I don't like the spring. Whee. 18,962. Going through the middle path. Did not get the author medal. Okay, let's try the snow car path. Number 28. Holy. Whoa, that was big tilt. Whee! Holy cow. There's gotta be a way up to that freaking checkpoint to the right. Or the finish there to the right, I mean. Where's this go? Oh, canyon car. The worst. Plastic wall ride. Ah, man, that sucks. That's a rough path. Alright, well, we take the snow car. Ah. Corners like that always mess with me. Hairpins. Oh, not quite straight enough. What is these? Drive now. Whoop. That's a tough one. There we go. Ah, that sucks. Okay. We gotta land very center on that one, otherwise we're just gonna get tossed. Jeez, that roof hit. Guess I gotta release a little bit right there, but try not to if I can. There's gotta be a way. I'm just really thinking about how you could make it up to that finish there to the right. Like the whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking about how you could make it up to that finish to the slow-mo. That's rough, but it's still a second and a half ahead, and we get the author medal, so we'll take that for the moment. Is there a way to skip that slow-mo? There's got to be a way up to this right here, though. That's my thing. Like, you don't just put a finish right there for decoration. Not in this game. In the older games, maybe, but not in this one. Let's see. Go. That'd be tough. Definitely a tough line there. Let's see what happens if we go down and to the left. Get the rally car. Dang, that Joel's spinning. And what does this want? So we go up to the right and then over here. There is a way. Yeah, there's gotta be. There always is, man. There's like this game. In the older games, you might have gotten away with it using the finish lines as a decoration. But in this game, there's always a way. I'm really thinking like launch off a bush or something. Caught a little bit of airtime here. Catch some airtime maybe and bounce off a tree or something, but that sounds like a pain. I mean, they had a freaking nose bug in last week. In last week's Pathfinder Trek, which that's got to be like the first time I've ever seen a nose bug used. 28th in the world? I don't even know, man. Like, what's my time even? 17.3? Like a 13.4 maybe? Something like that? Maybe even like 7 or 8 seconds? I don't know. Almost. If I have a lot of speed there, I might be able to boost off of that boosh. Ooh. Maybe? 9.7. Wow. 975. That's crazy. Let's see. So if it's a 975, I should be getting to the finish already. So it's got to be something like this. Ah, yeah, if you can hit that just right, maybe. 975. Like an Uber bug or something? Uh-huh. But how? under the water here? Bug slide, maybe? Ow. I'm really gonna have to think about that one. Oh, there's a slow-mo down there. Really? That's interesting. Where was that? I have all the keys already. Okay. Can we go around back somehow? No. There's gotta be something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to freaking bang my head against this wall off stream, I'm thinking, but yeah, let's see what's around here. It really feels like if I get just the right amount of speed, I might be able to launch myself off of a bush here or something, but there's a lot of stuff going on, and with the arrow pointing up from over here, it kind of makes me feel like it might be this rock, but there's like a slow-mo down here somewhere that I hit, which is odd. Don't really see anything too crazy from here. Yeah, that one's an interesting one. I'm really gonna have to think about it. You said I got all the keys already, so I'm clearly on the right track. All right, well, we're gonna do Lagoon Drop here. This one actually looked like a lot of fun. Kind of reminded me of like F-Zero. Whoa, okay. There's a wide line there. Whee! Okay. Oh, nope. I need to turn more tight. I need to try to angle myself towards the wall. It's kind of a tough one. There we go. That corner. This is a fun track so far. Land to the outside, come back to the inside, try to land smoothly there, hit the wall, that sucks. Slowed me down. More to the outside there, back to the inside here, missed the wall, there we go. And into the finish. Boom! Beautiful. Nice easy run. 15-3, not too bad. Number 40 on the first finish. Okay. Let's try to optimize that a tiny bit. Go to the outside here. Back to the inside. Losing some speed already. Dang. Had a really good line on my PB. Whoop. Dang it. Actually, I should take a moment and check something real quick on Twitch. That's tough. Because it, like, the way that you land kind of prevents you from turning. I already had such a good line on my first finish there. There we go. Nice and straight there. A lot of speed. Need to land a little bit lower into that finish. Try to miss that wall. I feel like the clear answer to this one is just going to be reducing our airtime. Reducing your airtime usually saves a lot on tracks like this. Thank you everyone for being here, by the way, both over on YouTube and here on Twitch. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Pretty sure everybody watching on Twitch right now is already a follower. And if you want to see the full screen, we have full screen view available on Twitch. Ooh, nice, okay. Dang it. I hesitated. Link is down in the description. Kind of a good line, but I landed sideways. This is a fun track though. I like this. Much better than last week, that's for sure. Last week's tracks were, not gonna lie, kind of boring. That turn is tough. Doesn't seem like it would be, but it kind of is. There we go. Nice. Not. Oh, I bumped the inside edge. That's rough. Oh, too much. Dang. Straightening out for that landing right there is probably going to be the hardest part of this whole thing. That was a nice transition. Okay, let's put it all together. Outside so we can get a nice line there. Dang it, that corner. That's probably... This landing right here and that corner are probably going to be like my two biggest obstacles in this whole track. If you can even call this a track. More like a platformer. Whoop. Definitely need to be really close to that corner though, so we can have more time to set up for that last turn to the finish. Dang it. That was a terrible landing on the first jump. Nope. I hit the wall. Already know it. There we go. Nice. Ah. Clipped that corner so hard. Oh. Just a little bit more we go. That's something. Okay. Nope, sliding a lot, but... Ooh, okay. That's a kind of a tough one. That angle into the finish is interesting, to say the least. What is he doing today? Alright. Give me one moment here. I need to check a couple of things here over on Twitch. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys. Just started. What about... He's still on. He is not. Dang it. Dang. Just missed him, it looks like. What is he doing? Hey, Maury. That's fine. Nice drop down here. Air brake for a good angle. Oh, bumped the wall. Just barely hit that edge. Damn. You want to land a little wide there just so you can get a better angle for that second drop down. There we go. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Yo, huge improvement. Love to see it. Top 20 in Oregon, we take that. I like this track. That's a good one. May have to come back and do a little bit of improvement, but that was a really good run. I feel really good about that, actually. Go a little bit tighter against that, but we need to definitely set up to go wide there so we can get a nice straight landing, go straight across that corner, and as early into the finish as possible. It's a really good run. I like that. This is a good track. Lagoon Drop is a good one. It's a big thumbs up by the Bloodlust. Thank you very much. Yeah, it felt good. That felt like a great run, for sure. All right, we got Rice Ice. This one is gonna be, oh. Interesting. I was not expecting rally car on this. That was actually, to be honest, like the last thing I was expecting on this track. Like, how many times is there a rally car ice track? White Shore. Straight across the water. Basically no grip now. You want to get earlier into that finish though. Definitely could improve that first turn. That puts us in the top 50 immediately. Yeah, too much. Want to try to avoid the snow if we can, but at the same time, there we go. 249. That's a good improvement. That only gave us 2 spots in Oregon, though. That seems like quite a jump in time for only freaking 2 positions. but okay. There we go. That's a good one. Oh, no, that was really bad. Dang it. Is there an alternate fin? Here, let's see. No, there is not an alternate finish. Okay. So we just keep doing what we're doing here. Need to get the right kind of angle, though, here. Because the one thing about rally car is that you got to actually, like, turn away from where you want to. Now, see, if I could get that before the finish, the reactor flight is huge. Ah, lost it all right there. This is gonna be a very kind of random track in some ways because of the potential for zoops. And we got a little bit of a tiny bit of an improvement there. Got us another couple of positions in Oregon. It's the zoops that's gonna make this. Wow, by 1,000. That's amazing. Okay, well, that gives us a lot to improve on, though. Oh, that was such a good turn there. Okay, so we can actually, if we go straight here, kind of. There we go. That's some good speed. Nice landing. Good turn there. Boom. Huge. 0.6 almost. 0.37 in Oregon. Okay. We keep going. We're making great improvements on this. I usually suck at ice, but for whatever reason, this is great for me. Dang, another 0.5? Holy cow. Top 1,000 in the US, we like that. I'll try not to turn too sideways, seems to be part of it. We can hit the brake at just the right moment as we go over one of these hills. We actually might be able to force a zoop like that. Yeah, yep, that's the thing. Okay, so we need to force a zoop so we can get more speed here. Almost. Almost got a zoop there too. So if we can force a zoop right here. Ah, barely hit that tree. No. Ah. Dang. We're regressing. Right there before the finish would be another great spot to force a zoop if possible. Jeebus! Was not the right angle, but we forced another zoop. It's kind of a random thing. Definitely very much RNG involved, but... Ah, man. That was kind of an interesting line. Could have been something there. Had such a good line on my PB here. If I could keep that line on my PB and like add to it, that zoop, man. Just a tiny bit more hang time there. Not too bad. A good line, but a little slow. Yeah, we had such a good run on our PB there. It's gonna be hard to top that, to be honest. Dang, a full second plus behind. That's not good. There we go. Another 0.1 improvement. Puts us at top 20 in Oregon. You know, for an ice map, I actually really enjoyed that. That was a good track. That was a lot of fun. I like rice ice because it's a rice burner. Definitely a good one. This week is much better than the last. I greatly appreciate the decisions that they made with these tracks. Much more involved, much more interesting styles. Do appreciate that. Let's go ahead and check out a couple of the campaign tracks. We'll start out with the first one here. I have not yet, clearly, tried any of the campaign tracks yet, so we're gonna see what they look like. Okay, yeah, if we go to the outside, we can full grip through that. Avoid that ice, I'm going to assume, is definitely very much, or snow, I guess, is going to be one of our main goals here. Avoid the ice and don't touch the balls. Jump over the ice. Nice straight line there, straight line here. Jump over that ice and barely miss it. Ah, just barely touched that wall. Straight there. Go more to the inside here. There we go. Ah, man. That's going to be a tough one. This track on its own is almost kind of like a short. There we go. And into the finish. That wasn't too bad. I like that. Might even have author medal. Yeah, first try. 184 in Oregon. Definitely a lot more people play campaign tracks than they do the weeklies. Oof. We move on to the next one. Grass slides. I'm alright with grass slides. Seems like there's kind of a theme going on here with the like semi-transitional sort of style with the rough patches in between. That was really easy. These tracks are pretty easy. And author metal again, first try. Well, we'll just move on to the next one. We're not going to try to grind these ones too much. This isn't the typical content that we usually work on, so. Oh, dirt track. There we go. We like dirt tracks. Nice smooth landing there. Whoop, hit the wall. Okay. Want to try to full grip around this first turn if possible. Definitely didn't full grip there, but we got good landing. Into the checkpoint, get the downhill, whoop, and hit the wall. That sucks. There we go, nice full grip. Skip a lot of that sand, jump way farther that time. And we probably want to go to the outside of that. Give us much more speed. Stream froze for a second. I apologize for that. Nice full grip, beautiful downhill. The outside so we can keep our grip there, skip a lot of that sand if possible, to the outside of this, inside, and then outside again so we can keep our speed, and then easy uphill. Damn it, barely hit that freaking corner block, but should still be author metal. Damn it, just barely hit that corner block. That's frustrating. We're gonna do that again. Pretty smooth downhill. Catch that, try to skip the sand. There we go. And we go to the outside, sort of. That's okay. There we go, and straight into the finish. Big improvement. Almost inside the top 100 in Oregon. We like that. That's much better than our previous run for sure. Alright. Oh, we got a wall ride on this one, huh? Go pretty straight here. Damn it. Go to the inside of the sausage road. Sausage roads are like my nemesis. I do not enjoy them at all. Is that plastic? This is all plastic, okay. Wall ride down. And get ourselves a little zoop into the finish there. Just barely touched the water. Should be author. And there it is. 334. Alright, well, we're going to improve that. Should be able to at least get inside the top 200 in Oregon. we go far enough to the outside on that sausage block after the first checkpoint, we can just full grip through this section. Yep. So much more speed there. Nice smooth wall ride. And much more speed into the finish. Half a second improvement. Still not inside the top 200, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll just move on. We're gonna do the first 5 here. Doing the white tracks. And we got a rally car track. Into a snow car. Oh, is this a multi-lap? No? Okay. Only 3 checkpoints, so. Rally car uphill. Smooth as we can downhill. Into freaking canyon car. Into snow car across grass. Okay. Well, we barely get the gold medal there. We're gonna do that one again. Smooth uphill here with the rally car. Try not to slide if possible. See, that's the thing, is the rally car likes to slide out a lot. It doesn't tip at all, but it will slide very easily. So, gotta be really careful about how tightly you go down the hill. Ah! Need to be a little bit more tight around the checkpoint there. Give ourselves a little bit more speed. Okay. Desert car. Nice. And then snow car straight into the finish. 0.2 improvement. We like that. Still no author medal. We got to get that author medal at least. Dang it. Rally car is pretty unforgiving. Do I still have my action key set? I do still have my action key set. Oh, man. Desert car is the worst. There we go. That's something. But desert car, man. It's always desert car that gets me. There we go. That was much smoother there. Oh, desert car. Every time. We need to go more to the outside so we can turn a little wider there. Much more speed through that section. There we go. Oh my gosh. Almost too much speed through this section. Boom, that should be author. Still not author. Dang. Alright. Gonna lock it in here. Trying really hard not to turn too much. It's tough with the rally car at least. wide. Want to go a little bit wider at the start here so we can build up some speed before we go up this hill. Rally car is the worst. Or not rally car, desert car. Rally car is slightly annoying, but it is nothing compared to the headache that is desert car. Rally car is just kind of sensitive. Desert car is just bad in so many ways. That was such a good freaking line. Desert car, man. There we go, but then, too fast. Too fast for the snow car. Dang, where are we? Wow, we're half a second behind the author medal still? That's gonna take a crazy improvement, but we'll try. Lost a lot of speed there. I honestly kind of would like to see a multi-lap version of this track. There's that last section of ice there that you don't get to race on. And it does go all the way around. If I can miss more of that sand. Or maybe tilt across it. That's one thing that the desert car is good for. You can tilt across high friction surfaces and reduce your contact, which will allow you to maintain more speed. But then the tilting messes with everything else after that. Ah. I was doing so good. Yeah. We're definitely going to have to work on that one. But for now, that's probably where we're going to end it. We hit up the weekly tracks. I appreciate everybody who joined the stream. Once again, if you're new here, if you're watching over on YouTube, definitely do hit the links down below. We are live over on Twitch. We got live streams at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week. Feel free to come back. We do Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Phasmophobia with Justin701 over on YouTube every Friday. So definitely do come check that out. Hope that you enjoyed the content. Hope that you stay safe and stay warm, because that winter storm may be passing, but that doesn't mean that there's not snow and slick roads still out there. So be good, everyone. We'll catch you in the next one. Trust in the bloodlust.